The governance committee is what pulled together the infrastructure for the creation of all the pieces. Dr. Ferrara has been heavily involved in that. And he's also done some clinical work too.
We're kind of the nuts and bolts committee. We're the guys that are kind of figuring out how we're going to kind of move forward and how we're going to do these things. And so a lot of the process that we have had goes around agreements, auditing, finances, administration. Everyone has seen a lot of the results of what we have already. There was a lot of work. There was a lot of work that went into that agreement that everyone has seen and most of you have signed, so thank you. I know that as we read these things, you know, we read them sometimes in our silos still, but at our committee, and I'm very grateful for my committee members, to be able to sit and not only wear the hat of DHP, but also to wear the hat of a private practitioner and try to represent everybody's best interests as best we can. And as you go forward, I want to ask everyone to just recognize that we're creating a network. We're not just improving our practices. And so the purpose of that agreement is not just to improve your practice, it's to create a network. And so it requires certain degrees of authority, but at the same time, we're doing our very best to represent you, because I think that my job is to represent the stockholders. And so I expect you to hold me accountable when we screw up. But in general, we're kind of on the same team, okay? So that was quite a challenge. We did the best to get the legal consultants that were necessary. Auditing and tax preparation. There has to be oversight. If we're going to do this, we're going to be dealing with a lot of money, and there has to be some level of oversight. Right now, a lot of the dollars and cents is being managed by the hospital and the hospital administration. But we have taken the effort to hire a outside entity that's going to do quarterly reviews of the finances for us and to do our tax returns. As I mentioned, a lot of the administration right now, a lot of the labor, a lot of the hard work is being performed by the hospital. We're using the management committees, we're using technology, we're using their marketing skills, and we're using a lot of their staff. And we can't just keep doing that for free. We've been doing that for free for quite a while, and we have to sort of put some dollars on what that is valued at. I think we got an awfully good deal right here at $27,000 to the hospital. I want you to be aware that we now have a contract where DHP will be paying for a certain degree of that labor. Physician compensation. I want to clarify from the beginning that none of the hospital administrators are being paid for their participation in committees. Physicians are not getting paid at all right now. So we've been at this now, I think in another couple of weeks, we will all have been at this for a year. Besides the hat and the meal, none of us physician administrators have been paid. But all of us want to be replaced at some time. And so that means that we have to acknowledge a certain degree of labor that is occurring. And somewhere along the line, we need to do that. So we had some guiding principles in doing this. And one of the guiding principles was, if our stockholders aren't getting paid, then the administration's not getting paid. And I don't expect that any compensation is going to come to any of the administrators at any management level until we got a business that's making money. This is a startup business. And it's tough, honestly. It's really tough because we're putting in a lot of time. But what we've decided is to come up with a point system where if you're at a meeting, you get a point. You're at 2 meetings, you get 2 points. The meeting can go on for 12 hours and it doesn't matter, you get a point. And there's a limit on how many points you can get, and we don't know what a point's going to be worth yet. But somewhere along the line, we're going to have to decide. And frankly, the decision is probably going to come at market value if we're fortunate enough. And if we're not fortunate enough, it's going to become way under market value or nothing. This is tough because we've all been in organizations where the administrators were paid before anybody else made a buck. And my expectation is that this organization will not exist that way, not as long as I'm in a decision-making position. You'll get an extra 5 points if you're a chairman of a committee, but you got a maximum of 3 points. I sit in a lot of committees, so you got a maximum of 3 points per month. I also suspect that we must set a certain percentage of the revenues that the organization is going to have that will go to administration. So for example, I don't expect ever have 100% of the revenue for year one or year two that's going to go toward administration. I think that that would be an abuse of what we're trying to accomplish here. I really feel strongly that we have a tremendous organization, and it's built on trust. Dave, thank you. It's built on trust. And earning your trust is a big step, and screwing it up takes no time whatsoever. So I think that we're moving forward in a positive direction, but I do want to be replaced at some time, and I know that I'm going to have to pay somebody in order to do that. None of us came on this committee to be here forever. None of us have been choosing to do this work to be here forever. And we're making plans now, and we have a methodology that we haven't quite yet approved, but the expectation is that there'll be re-elections. There'll be re-elections every year, and we're going to have it on a rotating basis so that we can add some continuity to the team in each of the committees, but at the same time have fresh blood and fresh opportunities for everyone. What we do not want to become is an organization that has the same administration all the time. That would be a terrible abuse. We don't want to do that. I think we all came into this thinking that we would participate for a year or two and then move into a new, fresh governing body. And with that in mind, we're going to hopefully come up with a plan within the next 30 days that will honor that commitment.